Hey VC, it's Jonathan, your cheap and cheerful record collector. I hope everybody's doing well on this beautiful summer day or late spring day. It's just so beautiful out. I decided to shoot this video outside. I hope you can hear me and I'm not too much in the shadows. Anyway, Ron Haggerty, the Vinyl Sanctuary, did a video recently, 10 questions. I guess he was gonna use it as his contest for 1,000 subs, but he says it's getting too long to get there, so he just wanted to do it. So I sort of thought it was an interesting 10 questions, and I'd jump on the thread. All right, so we'll start right off with one, and the first question is, show a one-off album, an album where the band had one record and was done, or one and done. In the 60s, mid to late 60s, every band in the world was being signed by record companies who were looking for the next big hit. And there were a lot of psych bands that did one album and were done. And this is one of them out of Boston. And this is a band called The Far Cry on Vanguard Records. Musically, it's very psych, heavy organ, fuzz guitar, drum solos, etc. But the failing of the album is the lead singer. Vocals are really weak, and that must be why they never made it. It just didn't catch on. I mean, musically it's fine, but the vocals are definitely weak. So that's my one-off, The Far Cry. Number two is show Two of a Kind, two records that have either the title is the same with different artists or something along those lines. So what I came up with in 1964, Elektra Records put out an album called The Blues Project, and it was a compilation of different blues and folk artists. Has Dave Van Ronk, Jeff Moldar, who ended up marrying Maria D'Amato, became Maria Moldar, Eric Von Schmidt, David Ray and John Kerner, and one of the guys on here is Danny Caleb. So this came out in 1964, really great compilation of the 60s folk scene. And this was 1964. 2 years later, in 1966, one of the guys from that album, Danny Caleb, got together with Al Kooper, and they formed the Blues Project. So that's the connection there. Danny Caleb, the guy in the blue shirt, him and actually Al Kooper and one of the other guys left and went on to form Blood, Sweat and Tears, and the rest of the band went off to form C-Train. They were only around for a couple of years. I saw them multiple times at the Cafe Go-Go in New York City when I was a teenager. So, Blues Project. That's the two different blues projects. Number three is The Third Time's a Charm. Find an album where the third album by the artist is really much better than his other albums. And, or the album where he finally came into his own, or she came into her own. And the one I picked up is, first album was really good, but was never a hit, never really got a lot of notice. Second album a little more, but it wasn't until his third album that it really came into being noticed, and that was Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run. I mean, Greetings from Asbury Park and The Wild and the Innocent and the East Street Shuffle are great albums, but it really wasn't until this album, I think, that Bruce really, everyone knows the album, really came into being Bruce. This album really showed him what he could do and who he could be. And that's my third album, is Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run. Number four, pick 4 perfect albums in a row by an artist. They did 4 albums in a row and they're all perfect. And the only one I could think of that came to me immediately was the great Bob Dylan. So first album in the quadruple bit is Highway 61 Revisited. After that, he came out with Bring It All Back Home. I mean, these albums are just classics for a reason. Subterranean Homesick Blues, Mr. Tambourine Man, Love Minus Zero, No Limit. Just, fantastic. That's number 2. The album he came out after that, which I couldn't think it could get any better at all, is Blonde on Blonde, which is maybe one of my favorite albums of all time. This is a newer mono repress, and absolutely love this record. And of course, this has Rainy Day Women 12 and 35, Memphis Blues Again, Leopard Skin Pillbox Hat, Absolutely Sweet Marie, Sad Eyed Lady of the Lowlands, and my all-time favorite Bob Dylan song, Visions of Johanna. And then he reinvents himself once again with the fourth album of the trilogy, of the quad, is John Wesley Hardin. Fantastic record. All Along the Watchtower, Drifter's Escape, Dear Landlord. Unbelievable. So that's it. Those are the four in a row, four perfect albums by one artist. Number 5. This is, I really wasn't sure about this. This is The Fifth Dimension, something unknown, something he showed UFO. I took it more literally. I don't have any bands that have space or UFO in it. I went for the music, and for me, the music that was otherworldly is John Coltrane's A Love Supreme. This is a 1986 repress of the 1965 classic. All I can say is the music is otherworldly. It's, if you don't know it, you have to check it out. It's sort of free jazz, but a little more than that. Very spiritual and fantastic record, very otherworldly. That's number 5. Number 6, show a band with 6 members. This band originally had 5 members for his first album, which I love, and his second album, they added a guy to play organ and piano, and that was the Paul Butterfield Blues Band, the album East West. They added Mark Knopfler, what's his name? Mark Knaflin as the organ and piano player. Really rounded out the band. This album is just amazing, shows a lot of Eastern psych kind of thing going on with his blues, and fantastic record. Paul Butterfield Blues Band, East West, 6-man band. Number 7, for some reason, I guess 7 is 7 days of the week, represents God, so he wanted to do something that references God in some way. So I immediately thought of Billie Holiday singing God Bless the Child. You probably all know it from Blood, Sweat, and Tears, but Billie Holiday wrote it. And this is a fantastic recording by her of that song, God Bless the Child. First song, side B. This is a great Japanese pressing of the album. So Billie Holiday, God Bless the Child. Number 8 is, I guess he said, the sign for unity, and we need something to bring us all together in these dark days. And the first thing I thought of was Pete Seeger singing We Shall Overcome. This is from 1962, this record. That song was just starting to get being known all over the place. And I think Pete Seeger's version of We Shall Overcome, this live album from the from the Bitter End, I mean, recorded in person, is a classic. And everybody knows that song now, and I think that song really brings people together. The next one, number 9, the last album to feature an original member of the band, whichever band you're talking about. So I thought of The Who, and the last album to feature Keith Moon, before he unfortunately passed away from drugs, alcohol, God knows what. Who Are You? Great album by The Who. Like I said, the last album by Keith Moon. There you go. Keith Moon's last album. I got to see The Who with Keith Moon back in '67, and again at Woodstock. Well, yeah, I think it was at Woodstock, and '69 at Woodstock. And the last one is 10. He said the X Factor, a title or a song with an X in it. I came up blank, so I sort of cheated, and I went with Warren Zevon, Excitable Boy. There's the X in Excitable Boy. Fantastic record. Everybody knows this. Nothing I have to add about Warren Zevon and Excitable Boy. So that's the 10 records on his thread. I thought it was sort of fun. I hope other people will jump in and join us. Hope everybody's doing well, enjoying this beautiful weather. And until next time, peace.